Hey everyone, welcome back to Hypnovision Studios. Today we are discussing the four major happy chemicals. That is dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. That's right, the four major happy chemicals also have something in common with the heart space, which is considered the fourth in the chakra scales of the chakra systems. So, today we're going to be discussing some of the things that these chemicals do for us, but most importantly, I'm going to share some personal tips and tricks and how to tap into those chemicals directly and go straight to the emotion and release those chemicals within the body itself. I've spent the last few years while growing this channel on the back end doing a lot of personal meditation and nervous system resetting. And that is what I want to share with all of you out there because it absolutely changed my life. Now, just a few videos ago, I released a video on the topic of how survival mode kills creativity. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn on the creator mode and live in that wish fulfilled feeling. All right, guys, it's no secret that we are hormonal creatures of habit. And most of us really probably don't know that we can become addicted to the chemicals within our own bodies. Now, when most people think about addictions, they think about somebody being on some kind of hardcore drugs. But did you know that the human body, the human conditioning can be addicted to the feeling internally? That's right. The environments that you find yourself in most often, let's say, for example, a high stress environment. Let's say that you grew up in a household that was a high stress household. Then you find yourself familiar with people of high stress. Then you find yourself in a high stress workplace. Now your body has been conditioned, preconditioned, and prolonged exposed to those conditions. So that feels like home, and your nervous system starts to adjust accordingly. So some people can live in these type environments, and when they feel peace, it feels unnatural. It does not feel like it should be that way. So what happens to our thoughts when we start to do this and we get in these type states? Anything that is outside of chaos does not feel right. And I know this firsthand because I spent many years in this type environments, in this type mindset, in this type energy and chemical makeup in the body, which is why for the past 3 years, as I said earlier, growing this channel, I've been practicing what I preach on the back end of things to get out of survival mode, to get out of fight and flight mode, and to step into creator mode where anything is possible. And so today we're going to break them down, all four of the chemicals, one by one, and we're going to go through this and tell you exactly what is going on internally and how to change it, and how the more you practice it, the quicker you'll be able to switch into these different states. So let's start with dopamine. Did you know the biggest driver and stealer of dopamine is your smartphone? Yes, that's right. If you reach for your phone first thing in the morning, most likely you have become addicted to your phone. If you cannot go to the bathroom without taking your phone with you, most likely you are addicted to your phone. Now, who am I to preach to anyone about having their phone in their hand 24/7? Because as a content creator, I rely on my device an awful lot. But I will also tell you a few insider secrets. There is a difference in consuming and producing. When you are consuming, what is going on? You are being entertained by the screen, and you are also allowing it to hold and bind your attention while you scroll endlessly, otherwise known as doom scrolling. Do you feel like you have to check for notifications first thing in the morning? I will tell you, what changed for me was deliberately not reaching for my phone first thing in the morning. And that started happening a few years ago. I quite literally put my phone down and made a decision not to look at my phone until after I had finished my morning routine. Also, on the flip side of that, I started to really recognize and understand what was happening, because if we reach for the phone and we're looking for notifications first thing in the morning, that reward system that we get those dopamine hits from is being depleted. When we wake up in the morning, we don't have a notification, we don't have a response to a message, a text, an email. What happens is we are setting the tone at the very start of the day. If you wake up with something that you're looking forward to and it's not there, we can start to set that tone to be a pattern every single day. It is a very slippery slope. And then as the day goes on, our brain is constantly looking for ways to increase dopamine. Have you ever out of nowhere gotten a surprise and all of a sudden you hit this whirlwind and you're way up here in cloud 9 only to come crashing back down just a short time later? So dopamine is the short-term reward center of the brain. When we complete tasks and when we achieve certain things, our brain releases dopamine. And dopamine is a very essential chemical in the brain. So let's break this down a little bit more. So a dopamine deficit in survival mode equals a loss of motivation and drive. Difficulty focusing and finishing tasks can lead to addictive behaviors, seeking quick rewards like junk food, scrolling, and substances. Everything I'm saying right here to you guys is absolutely true. You can go and research this stuff for yourself. So dopamine is indeed one of these chemicals that we absolutely have to function on a day-to-day basis. But when we're not aware of how it is actually functioning inside of the body, we can quickly become addicted to things that we don't even consider an addiction. So reaching for your smartphone first thing in the morning can feel like a natural thing because you have been doing it for a while. But if you're looking for those notifications that suddenly aren't not there, then you can find yourself going down that slope of trying to find somewhere else to get that dopamine fix. And most people don't consider this as an addiction, when in all actuality, it is. So dopamine, don't be a dope. What I started doing to change my habits and to also change my thinking patterns, this is very important because these chemicals affect our brain patterns. It affects the way we think. So if, for example, I go and upload this video and I wake up tomorrow expecting to have 2,000 views and I wake up and there's only 5 views, what do you think is going to happen? Is my brain going to release dopamine, or is it going to be zapped of that said dopamine? And then I start to feel bad. If that is the first thing I do in the morning, I am setting the tone for the rest of the day. So don't be a dope. Learn how to manage things like your cell phone, how much screen time that you're actually giving yourself for entertainment, because most likely your screen time is astronomical in 2025. I can almost promise you that if you take a minute and just take stock of that, you will see that I'm telling you the truth. And something else I will tell you about the focus, right? Because our brains do not multitask. Our brain actually switches, which is like an oscillation between different tasks that we're trying to do. So if we're constantly distracting ourselves with endless doom scrolling that really amounts to nothing at the end of the day, we have spent a lot of time, a lot of emotional energy, and most importantly, a lot of mental energy just by scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to there is no end in sight. So next, I'm going to move on and we are going to talk about another one of these chemicals in the human body. And that is going to be oxytocin, which is known as the love hormone. Oxytocin is one of those feel-good hormones when we have it in abundance in the body. And it is boosted by achieving goals and celebrating small wins. It is triggered by touch, trust, and bonding experiences. Strengthens relationships, intimacy, and feelings of belonging. Now, that one is a big one, guys. Feelings of belonging. So, you might wonder, as I opened up this video and talked about being in high stress environments, you might not feel like you belong if you are a calm, cool, collected person in a room full of people who are in fight or flight, chaos, and in conflict, and this always going, and doing, and never resting. So the love hormone is a bonding hormone. It is also something that the human body uses as a way to build trust between us and other humans. It plays a role in empathy and generosity, and is also known as the cuddle hormone. And that is very, very interesting. The human body produces oxytocin in both male and female. While it can be higher in the female gender, males also do produce oxytocin. It is one of the four major chemicals of the body. Keep right on trucking here, because next up we have serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. And here is the kicker, guys. I used to suffer from seasonal depression. In the wintertime, I used to feel extremely depressed, and I would always find myself feeling like life is over. It's very interesting that the sun actually has a lot to do with serotonin. So, getting out in the sun will help boost serotonin levels. And in fact, I personally started sun gazing the 2 years ago, to be exact. Now, sun gazing is not something I would just willy nilly recommend to anyone to start doing without a little forehand understanding of what it is. First and foremost, we have all been told not to look at the sun. We have all been told to wear sunglasses, and we have all been told to put sunscreen on. But did you know that the body actually needs sunlight? It's not just the vitamin D that we get from the sun. Vitamin D, right? I know what you're thinking. Vitamins are great, but serotonin from the sun is even better because it is a mood stabilizer. And those ups and downs, it can help to bring you into a more balanced state and a well being, which is a state of mind. So, serotonin can be boosted by sunlight, exercise, gratitude, and positive social status. It promotes calm, well being, and emotional stability. Very important, emotional stability, because let's think about this for a minute. If our dopamine is off, if our serotonin is low, then those dopamine hits can feel like quick pops of happiness and then quick mood swings in the downside. It helps to regulate sleep, digestion, and mood associated with feelings of respect, pride, and recognition. So I can also tell you with the sun, first thing in the morning when the sun is starting to rise over the horizon and late in the afternoons, what is happening here, guys? There is a direct connection between the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, and the sunlight. The sun is known as red light, the moon is known as blue light, and I'm going to share something else with you. If you've never heard this, take note right here, because red light is light moving towards us. Blue light is light moving away from us, and this directly affects our hormonal cycle. I've done a whole series of this in the semen retention genre. However, again, this video is not about that, but that practice taught me everything I know and have talked about on this channel. I did not get it from a book. I got it from sitting out in nature. I got it from looking up at the sun and understanding what is going on internally and focusing on those feelings. And we will get to that in just a minute, how to tap into these chemicals directly and enjoy the feeling of them being released into the body. So the next one that we have is endorphins, which is the natural painkiller released during exercise, laughter, music, and moments of exhilaration. reduce physical pain and stress, and create a euphoric runner's high, as it is called. It can help the body to recover from stress and discomfort. So, when these things are out of balance, it can really affect our day to day lives in ways that we can't even think of or even consider until we start to become aware of it. So, I want to share something with all of you right now, and that is how to tap into these different chemicals. When I would sit down here and get on the microphone and just practice my voice, getting myself prepared to be on a mic and to become more comfortable. Sure, as a DJ, it's cool to be on the mic, right? Last call for alcohol. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am your host with the most, the DJ Hypnotic. Yes, it's pretty cool to say things like that, but it's just short burst. But getting on a mic and talking 30, 45, 50, 60 minutes is something else. And it's even stranger to be able to go on these topics for that long without having a train wreck of thoughts. So, balancing out these chemicals has certainly proven to be a worthwhile adventure and investment into myself. And I will tell you something else, my nervous system is very grateful for it also. So, how do we tap into these chemicals? Well, let's start with endorphins. As I mentioned a while ago, the runner's high. So, exercise is one of the best ways to release endorphins. We can exercise just by simply walking around the block a few times, or we can actually have a physical workout in the gym or at home, or just doing some kind of task outside in the yard. Not only are you getting the chemicals flowing, the blood flowing in the body, you are releasing those endorphins, but once you achieve a task, there is another chemical that is released. That is going to be the dopamine and more serotonin to go with those endorphins. So those type things can absolutely help you balance out your emotions, your hormones, and a mindset that will free you from that lacking mentality, that survival mode, that fight or flight mode, and put you into a creator's mindset. Another thing, when I would sit here and close my eyes and just think about the chemicals, what does oxytocin feel like? The love hormone, the bonding hormone, the intimacy hormone, being close with others and feeling connected with others. Look at this, guys. Radiation of chills, like little shock waves of energy shooting through my body right now because as I am talking on the mic, am thinking oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, four major chemicals. And I am just constantly repeating that in my head. I am oxytocin. I am dopamine. I am serotonin. And I am the endorphins of the body. When you start to focus on the chemicals, focus on what they feel like. It doesn't matter if you got notifications or the email came through or this or that. You don't have to think about all of these things. I've said this so many times on my channel. You don't need a 20 item list of things that need to get done before you can be happy. You can be happy now. You can feel good now. You can change the chemical makeup of your body by simply using your brain and sending the signal down into the body, and the response is confirmation. This is the law of correspondence, which is one of the seven Hermetic laws. The law of correspondence simply says that what you send out, you get back. This, in other ways, you could look at it is like karma, right? Cause and effect. So if you go around do bad things, you're going to have bad things happen to you. Or you go around do good things happen to you. This is a mirror reflection principle. But it is also the state of energy that we are in because the chemical compounds are directly tied to the emotional or the electrical thoughts of the brain. So if our feelings are magnetic, magnets pull things, right? Electromagnetism. We are pulling on those electrical impulses down into the body. So when we take the conscious awareness approach, I am dopamine. I feel the emotions of oxytocin being released in my body. The shock wave is confirmation of the chemical release. I am allowing these chemicals to flow through my body because I am a creator and I love myself and I love others and I want to share that experience with everyone. It's quite interesting. Once you become aware of this, once you start to practice this and you see it for yourself, you can quite literally become addicted to feeling good and living a healthy life. And what's wrong with that? Who would not want that if they could learn to do it for themselves without having to go to a doctor, without having to talk to a therapist, without having all these other outside worldly things to find your own peace of mind and happiness within yourself? And so, guys, I want to actually move out of the frame of the camera for just a minute and take a trip around behind the table because I want to really show you the types of things that happens down here when the camera's not on and nobody's around. When I would sit here with the headphones on and I would practice and I would hear myself in the live feedback. In the early days, I was indeed in survival mode. So I would sit down here and I would talk to myself. I would listen to the tone of my voice coming back in live feedback. And that was how I started to come to my senses and saying that the things that I've said in this video, I actually experienced them and I lived them out. So what happened when I was on the mic? First, I let loose all of these emotions that I was holding up, pent up emotions for many years. I cried on the microphone. I actually talked back to myself on the microphone. You are not those things. That is not true. Stop telling these lies about yourself. Dude, that is so not true. But guess what? Look at all the things that you have done with your life. Eventually, I turned around and I looked directly in the camera and then I said, "Hi, I'd like to reintroduce myself. My name is Nicholas." Whoa, that's deep. Quite honestly, if I look back at the younger me and he's looking at me right now, he wouldn't recognize me. And neither will you. Hi. I'd like to reintroduce myself as Nicholas. I'm embracing it. Who I am. My purpose here. I've let go of so much. Most of you know me as Nick. Hey, Nick, it's nice to meet you. We haven't had a talk in a very long time. Hey, Nicholas, yes, it's very true. I pushed you down, suppressed you, and hid you from the world. That little light of mine, I had dimmed it for a very long time. Well, it's very, very good to meet you again. And I am so lucky and grateful that we are finally having this talk. Guys, anything is possible because you are the impossible made possible. And I want to really show you what it's like being free, having your emotions flow, because emotions is energy put into motion, which is how we animate the body. It's very easy to just simply say something, but to actually carry out the action is something very different. It's easy to pretend, but to make believe is child's play. And that is exactly what I'm trying to get at with you guys. Child's play. To love like a child, innocent, free, caring, without worry. You see, kids, they forgive very fast. Kids have a very vivid imagination. You want to play cops and robbers? Okay, cool. Do you want to be the cop or do you want to be the robber? You want to play fireman? Cool. Let's go get the water hose and let's go spray down something in the backyard. You want to go jump on the trampoline? You want to go ride bikes? You want to go explore that hill over there? You want to go play in the mud? Kids are very imaginative. In fact, a few years ago, I asked my youngest daughter to help me to remember how to be a kid again. And we had a moment, a very, very deep moment that I can only describe as a soul stare. We didn't need words. It was like I was looking into a mirror of myself, and the words did not need to be said because everything was understood, and we just smiled at each other. And I knew in that moment my life was about to change. We have to unlearn things that we have learned in order to fit into the adult world, in order to tap back into that inner child. And yes, I've done a lot of inner child healing work on myself throughout the past few years. Why did I suppress that version of me, that part of me? Those type things, while you can focus on them and understand why, you have to understand that what you focus on grows, and where you put your energy or your focus, your energy flows. So it is very important to understand. I said this at the very beginning of my channel. If you focus on shadow work, there's going to be more shadow work. But if you focus on the mirror, you will see exactly in real time what is going on. Now, what is mirror work? There's different ways that you can look at this, because on the one hand, you can have people that try to mirror someone else, right? I'm going to keep this part of this topic very short. Narcissistic mirroring, which is mimicry or mimicry, is where someone mimics you, tries to be like you without the understanding of one simple thing, and that is why. Without the why factor, you don't really understand the full purpose. However, the mirror principle itself, just like the reflection of a calm lake and the sun reflecting off of that, it is pristine, it is exact image of reflection. So the mirror principle, look yourself in the eyes in the morning times. Instead of reaching for your phone to check Facebook, go look in the mirror and say, I love you. Today's going to be a great day. Instead of brushing your teeth with the normal hand that you do, switch hands. Why? Because this will start to reorganize the brain in the way that it fires. There is a saying that neurons that fire together wire together. It wasn't but just a few short years ago on my turntables back here that I started to practice with the opposite hand. And I will tell you guys, it felt weird as shit. But what happened very shortly after that was something that I can only describe as a miracle, because I started to rewire different pathways in my brain. And this is actually backed up by science. So simple little tasks that you can tweak throughout your day can have huge impacts on how you feel and how you think and how you carry yourself. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. I am happy and grateful to have this experience. Because of you, anything is possible. And it absolutely works. If by chance you are left-handed or right-handed, switch hands and try writing. It may feel weird, but the more you do it, the more you are actually working on the opposite side. So for a person like myself who is left-handed, the old line of thinking is left-handed people are actually in the right frame of mind. The right side is known as the creative side. The left side is the analytical side of the brain. So if you're left-handed, you're really really in the right hemisphere of your brain an awful lot. Very creative, very abstract. But the problem with that is most of society is right handed, especially here in the United States. And there's a reason for that. When you start to look back in history, for example, it was common to be standardized for everyone to be right handed. They pushed this agenda through schools for people to be right handed. There's a reason for that because it starts to shut down the right hemisphere. If 90% of the people are right handed, then they are very analytical, they are very logical, and they can be trained by repetition to be a factory worker, to be a nurse, to be a police officer, to be this, to be that, and to just do as you are told, which is why working a 40-hour week job feels so hard after an emotional awakening. Once you light up that right side, that hemisphere on the right side is lit up and you enter in to the right side and become the creator, and you're no longer living in fight or flight, and your emotions are flowing freely, and you are supercharged on those four major chemicals of the body. Yes, it feels extremely hard to continue to get up and go to a job that is unfulfilling. And most importantly, you start to find ways to exit stage left and go back into the right hemisphere. I experienced this myself, guys. It's the biggest reason why I started this channel, and it's the biggest reason why I have not given up. I have not made a single dime on this channel yet. And here I am sharing all of this with you guys for absolutely free because I believe in what I say, because I come to know it firsthand. And that is the bottom line. Look in the mirror today and say, I love you, my friend. Because of you, anything is possible. I am so happy and grateful. I feel the emotions of all four chemicals: oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins. Go run around in your kitchen. Go run up and down the hall a few times, whatever it takes. Once you get your heart rate up and once you get that blood flowing through your body, that runner's high, as they say, is very euphoric. Go hug someone, hug a cat, hug a dog, hug a stranger. And I'll tell you something else. Holding on to things, like regret, makes you miserable. Why? In Neville Goddard's work, he says regret is a misuse of memory. Wow. So regret in some ways is like reliving a past event, wishing you had done something different. And that is actually a trap. Why? Because it takes you out of the present moment. The present moment is here, now. This moment is the only moment that matters. What has happened has already happened. And if you keep reliving it over and over, wishing you had done something different, then you are stopping yourself from making that change now in the present moment. So if you have regrets, releasing those regrets sometimes does mean closing the door, closing the chapter, starting a new chapter. Sometimes regrets means that the only way to fix something is to pick up the phone, make that call that person that you feel regret about, and make an apology. You will be surprised at how it will change your nervous system on the inside. You will be surprised at the release of endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and the way that it affects you simply by saying sorry. You know, it's very lost on me how it is so hard for some people to simply apologize. You know, I went through life feeling like I apologized for so many things that were not for me to apologize for. But if there was something that was on my heart that weighed heavy on me. Instead of holding on to it, I learned to apologize, to say sorry. And this is not about saying sorry, I won't do it again. No, sorry is a change of habit. It is more than just saying I am sorry. It is actually showing by change, by showing up, by being present, by actually saying it face to face, saying it, not texting it, actually saying it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Forgiveness is not just something that we ask from someone else. Forgiveness is also something we give ourselves, because we can allow someone else to live in our head rent free, and we can also evict them. So if someone has done something, transgression against you, forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. It's about letting go. Why hold on to memories of things that people have done to you when you can simply let it go and be happy now and stop reliving those patterns of the past and repeat, 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 regret, 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 drain, drain, drain the chemicals of the body. It's a downward spiral that you'll never overcome until you release it and let it go and get into the flow of the creator mode. You are so much more than you give yourself credit for. And I know this because I was that type person. I was the guy that was hard on myself. I was the guy that would beat myself up because I could not be everything to everybody. And by trying to do that, I abandoned myself in the process. So when I was back there a while ago, Nicholas, being on the mic and the headphones, hearing it in real time, the sadness, the tone in my voice, something has got to change, and that's going to start today. I feel electric. Look at it. Change can only happen from the inside. It is not an outside job, it is an inside job. And only you have control over it. And that little brain up there is the key to it all. I am able to send the signal down into the soul of my body and reap the rewards in the present moment. This is what it truly means when Neville Goddard says to live in the end of the wish fulfilled. I am fulfilled internally with those four major chemicals, which also happens to be the heart space. The electromagnetic field of the heart strengthens and grows as you electrify yourself with those chemicals. I'll close the video with another quick story. Before I started this channel, I had a dream one night, and it was a dream of a green eye. I have talked about it on this channel before. It was like a glowing aura in my bedroom. It was pitch black. And I cracked my eyes open, and off across the room, it was like a green aura in the room. At first, I didn't know what to make of it. I kind of closed my eyes, and then I reopened them, and I looked again, and it looked like the shape of an eyeball. Very interesting. So that led me to start doing research and dream interpretations and all sorts of things. It changed my life, guys. Meditation changed my life. That saying, it was premeditated. Well, yeah, it was. Just like pretend, pre-attend. We pretend with our imagination. Imagination is the true magic. Imagination is everything, and imagination is formless. So instead of focusing on all the things you don't want, focus on all the good things. Train your brain to focus for green flags. Train your brain to look for opportunities. Train your brain to see the opportunities. Train your brain to love you, and you will get that in return. And with that, guys, I'll see you very soon with another interesting video.